Empire.
Welcome to Inside the Cap. I'm your host, Joel Corey. You can find me on Twitter at CoreyJoel. That's CorryJoel. And also read my regular CBSSports.com column, Agents Taking NFL Salary Cap and Contract Matters. This time we're going to take a look at the Christian McCaffrey trade. Panthers traded running back Christian McCaffrey to the San Francisco 49ers on Thursday night. And it overshadowed the tail end of the Thursday night game between the Arizona Cardinals and the New Orleans Saints that the Cardinals won 42-34. McCaffrey goes to the 49ers for 2023 second round picks, third round, fourth round picks, and a 2022 fifth round pick. So he went for 4 picks. McCaffrey is returning to his old stomping grounds because he played his collegiately at Stanford and finished second in the Heisman his junior year. The 49ers had to beat the Rams out in what we'll call an F them picks move, which is what the Rams have been doing for the past couple of years in terms of their approach to the draft. The Rams just didn't have the same type of draft capital available as the 49ers. Neither team had a first-round pick, which is what Carolina wanted for McCaffrey. The Rams had 22 second and third-round picks, but no fourth-round pick. That was lost. The fourth-round pick was lost in the 2021 preseason trade for Sony Michel. And we're willing to throw in disgruntled running back Cam Akers. And this really did seem like it'd be a Rams move, but 49ers are clearly all in to try to win a Super Bowl. This is a team which has been knocking on the door in recent years. That they lost in the NFC Championship last year to the Rams, and they lost in Super Bowl 54 to Kansas City during the 2019 season. They're currently 3-3. Surprisingly tied for first with the Seahawks and Rams in the NFC West. But it's a team which has been decimated by injuries defensively, which has been part of the problem. They've got they got basically the strongest defense in the league when healthy, but Nick Bosa is going to be coming back from a groin injury. Cornerback Emmanuel Mosley's out for the year. Defensive lineman Eric Armstead, he's still out. Javon Kinlaw's on IR for knee injury. Jimmy Ward's coming back from a broken left hand. They're getting both their tackles back, Mike McGlinchey and Trent Williams this week. So Niners are getting healthy at the right time. Now, what this did for their Super Bowl odds, they've gone from 18-1 to 14-1, but still, to me, team to beat until proven otherwise right now in the NFC is Philadelphia Eagles, the league's only undefeated team at 6-0, but it's going to be hard to match up from a skill position standpoint with the new-look San Francisco 49ers. This week they play the Kansas City Chiefs. McCaffrey is probably going to play a limited role, and then you'll see him ramp up next week. But from a skill position standpoint, it's hard to match up with McCaffrey at running back, who is the best running back out of the backfield in terms of a receiver. You got Deebo Samuel, who is the best ball-carrying wide receiver, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle. You got an offensive guru like Kyle Shanahan, and you've got a new weapon in McCaffrey that no longer has to be the focal point of an offense. In Carolina this year, he was responsible for about 40% of the yards. This is going to give defenses nightmares. Now, there's a little interesting connection with this trade that McCaffrey's dad, Ed, was a wide receiver, played in the NFL for 13 years. And he played for Kyle Shanahan's dad, Mike Shanahan, in Denver. Won 2 Super Bowls under Mike Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan was a ball boy back then. Kyle Shanahan played wide receiver in college, first at Duke, then at Texas. Ed McCaffrey was his favorite player. Wore number 87 because of McCaffrey. Was an occasional babysitter for the McCaffrey boys when Ed played for Denver, along with his sister, did more of the babysitting. So this is a weird dynamic or connection that you really don't see. That you got the elder Shanahan coached the dad, and now we got younger Shanahan coaching the son, who knew him when he was a toddler. So that's a interesting dynamic that you don't see every day in terms of a trade. Now, what you're getting McCaffrey when he's healthy, and that's been the issue with him the past couple of years, you've got the best dual threat running back in the NFL. 2020 and 2021, McCaffrey missed 23 of 33 games. But prior to that, he was an Iron Man. 2018 and 19, McCaffrey was on the field for 92.4% of Carolina's offensive snaps. His playtime was easily the most for an NFL running back during that span. And his production was off the charts during that time. In 2019, he set a record, broke his own record for reception, single season record for receptions by a running back of 116. In 2018, he'd set it with 107. But he joined Roger Craig and Marshall Faulk as the only 2 players in NFL history to have a season with at least 1,000 receiving yards and 1,000 rushing yards. He's the only one to do it with also 100 catches in a year. McCaffrey led the NFL with 2,392 yards from scrimmage, which third highest total, single season total in NFL history. Was third in rushing with 1,387 rushing yards, had 1,005 receiving yards. Led the NFL with 19 total touchdowns and 997 yards after catch. Back then, people were comparing him very favorably to Marshall Faulk, the first ballot Hall of Famer. And even Kyle Shanahan said something about that when he was playing, before he played the Carolina Panthers in 2019. He said, he reminds me of Marshall Faulk. He can beat you in the pass game, he can beat you in the run game. So now he's got that guy. And Faulk, after the season, said that McCaffrey was a better version of himself and said that Christian's 1,000 season was harder to achieve than his. Faulk acknowledged he was a part of one of the most prolific offenses in NFL history, the greatest show on turf in 1999, which had Hall of Famer Kurt Warner, who was league MVP, Hall of Famer Isaac Bruce, and Torrey Holt at wide receiver. He said he had to do more with less help, had a lot of help. And how many quarterbacks did McCaffrey have? You're not going to need that version of Christian McCaffrey, but if you get a healthy Christian McCaffrey, then this is a dimension for Kyle Shanahan he hasn't had since he's been an offensive coordinator or head coach. He's never had a back with this type of skill set. When he was the offensive coordinator for the Commanders, he did get a 1,600-yard season out of a sixth-round pick, Alfred Morris. But you give him this type of guy, I think that's what's going to strike fear into the hearts of a lot of NFL teams, particularly as that defense gets healthy. Then we'll see. The Niners should, you would think, win the NFC West. The Rams are in disarray. They've got a lot of holes to fill. Haven't made up for the loss of Von Miller from a pass rushing standpoint. Allen Robinson still hasn't found a way to be an integral part of the offense, although against Carolina had his best game of the year, 5 catches for 63 yards. The running game is stagnant, and the offensive line has a lot of injuries. So this should be the Niners division to lose, and basically now if another weapon that's less Jimmy Garoppolo has to do at quarterback. Now, how this all came about to begin with was the Carolina Panthers got off to a 1-4 start, and that lost head coach Matt Rule his job. He was fired there, and then that got the ball rolling on people thinking, yeah, maybe they're going to go into fire sale mode, the Panthers. And they claimed that wasn't the case. They did make one fire sale mode move after they lost to drop to 1-5 in trading wide receiver Robbie Anderson to the Arizona Cardinals, and he got banished to the locker room during the middle of the loss to the Rams. He played for Matt Rule in college at Temple, and they got a 2024 6th-round pick and a 2025 7th-round pick in return for Robbie Anderson. McCaffrey was one of the guys that was drawing a lot of interest from other teams. It came out last week that Peter Schrager, NFL Media's Peter Schrager, reported during the Fox pregame show, Panthers are looking for multiple first-round picks for McCaffrey. And that just wasn't going to happen. You weren't going to get multiple first-round picks for a running back, even if it is a running back who has the best receiving skills in the NFL. Running back and wide receiver trade compensation are like apples and oranges. Now, we saw this year that there were 4 veteran wide receiver trades involving first-round picks. The Raiders acquired Devontae Adams, who was designated as a franchise player from the Packers, for 2022 first and second-round picks in March, a couple of days after the start of free agency. The next deal was the Chiefs trading Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins for 5 picks, 2022 first, second, fourth-round picks, and 2023 fourth and sixth-round picks. You had 2 trades during the draft. The Titans surprisingly traded A.J. Brown to Philadelphia, which is part of the reason why they're 6-0, because Jalen Hurts now has a legitimate number 1 receiver, and he's taken a huge step forward for 2022 first and third-round picks. And the Cardinals acquired Marquise Brown from the Ravens, who had requested a trade for they got Brown in a third-round pick, 2022 third-round pick, for a first-round pick. Now, last time a running back went for a first-round pick in a trade was in 2013. The Browns dealt Trent Richardson, who was 2012's third overall pick, to the Colts for what turned out to be, it was a first-round pick, but it turned out to be the 26th overall pick in the 2014 draft, and that was early in the 2013 season. Now, in terms of multiple first-round picks for a running back, it's been a little over 20 years since that happened. Ricky Williams was traded in March 2002 from the Saints to the Dolphins for a 2002 first-round pick, was 25th overall, and a conditional 2003 third-round pick. Now, that third-round pick did become a first-round pick, the 18th overall pick in 2003. That's because the condition was Williams had to hit 1,500 rushing yards, and he went way over that. And there's also a swap of fourth-round picks in return in that trade. Now, given all that, the multiple first-round picks for a running back wasn't happening. Now, getting a first-round pick, good luck. You had the 2 teams most interested. No first-round pick. Panthers got, according to draft valuation charts, the equivalent of a first-round pick. Now, the trade that I thought might be a good barometer for a McCaffrey trade was Marshall Faulk, the guy he's been compared to by his own head coach, and the guy who himself, Falk, thinks there's some similarities. McCaffrey's 26 years old. Back in 1999, when Falk was 26 years old and was about to enter his sixth NFL season, McCaffrey is in year 6. The Rams acquired Falk prior to the draft for a second-round pick, which is 36 overall, and a fifth-round pick, both 1999 picks. And Falk was coming off a 1998 season in which he led the NFL with 2,227 yards from scrimmage. I thought that might be a good barometer for a trade. So the Panthers come out better than that in the trade with their haul of 2023 second, third, fourth round picks and a 2024 fifth round pick. And that may be due to the fact that you had two teams that were in heavy pursuit of McCaffrey. Now, getting picks, given where the Panthers are, is something that was much needed, because the Panthers did something last year that kind of compromised their draft position in the future. That early in the year they made a couple of trades thinking that they could make a playoff run, which never came to fruition. They'd already traded away picks for Sam Darnold. Then they made a trade for Stephon Gilmore, and they also made a trade for C.J. Henderson, where they sent Dan Arnold. It was a swap of third and fifth round picks for the 2022 draft. But what that did was that only left the Panthers in terms of 2023 with first, second, fourth, and fifth, because they also traded the 2023 third to New England during the 2022 draft to get Matt Corral. The pick they traded was the fourth round pick, which New England took Bailey Zappi, who looks like he might have a promising future in the NFL. Corral's on injured reserve. Then they also, in the preseason, traded a seventh round pick for next year to acquire LaVista Chenault. So now, who are the Panthers in terms of their picks for 2023? Now they've got 1 first, 2 seconds, because they have San Francisco's second. They've now recouped a third. They've got 2 fourths, because they had their own. Now they have San Francisco's. And they had their own fifth. That's for 2023. 2024, they've got a first, second, third, fifth, and sixth. I'm going to say they have a fourth. Baker Mayfield trade is for a conditional pick. It's a fifth round pick, which elevates to fourth round if he plays 70% playtime. He's hurt. I have a feeling that they're going to play Sam Darnold, because Baker Mayfield's looked terrible this year, so they may get a fourth. Otherwise, they have 2 fifths. Now, they're 1-5. They're good. They should be in a position to address quarterback. It's a strong quarterback draft class, and at 1-5, if the season ended today, they'd have number 1 pick, which would put them in a position for C.J. Stroud. Top 3 quarterbacks: C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis. They should be in a position to land one of those guys, you would think, because I can't see this team going on a run. Now, the question is Carolina still going to be making trades? Now, if you're going to get a supposed franchise quarterback in the draft, maybe you want to keep your core players around unless someone does a Laramie Tunsil thing and gives you an offer you can't refuse for someone. So that probably means DJ Moore, the receiver they just paid in the offseason for a 3-year extension, averaging $20.628 million per year, isn't going anywhere unless you just give him something crazy. Edge rusher Brian Burns probably isn't going anywhere. They probably want at least 2 first-round picks for him. Derek Brown, young defensive tackle, not going anywhere. Probably J.C. Horn, who they drafted in the first round last year, and Jeremy Chin, not going anywhere. The guy probably most likely to move, if they're going to trade somebody, would be Shaq Thompson. He's the longest tenured Panther left. They converted $10.8 million of salary, of his base salary, into signing bonus in March. So he's got a $1.12 million base salary is what he's making. And let's say you traded him at the trading deadline. You'd only have to have $622,222 is what you take on. Plus he's got $250 more thousand in roster bonuses. So you're talking per game roster bonuses. So you're talking $872,222. And he'd probably be a day 3 pick and probably trending towards a later day 3 pick. He's got a 2023 contract year for $13.16 million, $36 million base, $500,000 in per game roster bonuses, and $300,000 workout bonus. So that's probably the guy most likely to be traded if the Panthers are going to trade anybody else, because I don't see them going into complete teardown mode, particularly because you're going to be positioned for the franchise quarterback. You want to keep some of those assets, your core young players around in case you hit on a quarterback the way like Cincinnati did for Joe Burrow or the Chargers have for Justin Herbert. Now, the 49ers, in terms of where they are draft-wise, leaves them with, they have a 5th-round pick, 2 7th-round picks, and they should have 2 compensatory 3rd-round picks. One of those should be the second of the 2 picks for a minority coaching hire loss, meaning Mike McDaniel going to the Dolphins as the head coach, and then the second of 3 compensatory 3rd-round picks they got for losing Robert Saleh and Martin Mayhew. They could also are projected to get compensatory 5th and 7th round picks for losses in free agency. So cupboard's not bare pick wise. They just don't have premium picks, so to speak. Philosophy got the Rams a Super Bowl championship. They're the reigning champions. In terms of McCaffrey's contract, McCaffrey became the highest paid running back in the NFL after that 2019 season. In April 2020, he signed a 4-year extension for a little more than $64 million, averaged $16,015,853 per year. There were $39,162,500 in guarantees, and set the standard for running backs with guarantees, fully guaranteed at signing, of $30,062,500. Now, McCaffrey's contract has been restructured a couple of times. So this year, his base salary has dropped all the way down to $1.035 million, meaning that since he's acquired after week 6 and there's 12 weeks left in the season, the only thing the 49ers are responsible for this year is $690,000. That's all they needed from a cap space standpoint to absorb McCaffrey on their books. And according to FLPA data, the 49ers had a little over $5 million of cap space before the trade. So it's going to put them right about $4.325 million for cap space this year. Now, McCaffrey has 3 years left on his contract after this year for $36.2 million. Scheduled to make $12 million each in 2023 and 2024. He's got an $11.8 million base salary in each of those years and a $200,000 workout. In 2025, he's making $12.2. That's a $12 million base salary and $200,000 workout bonus. There's minimal guaranteed money left. The only thing in terms of security, $1 million of his 2023 base salary is guaranteed just for injury. No skill, no cap guarantee, just for injury. So San Francisco's not looking at this as a short-term rental. They're looking at him for the long haul. If you got a running back of his caliber, if he's healthy, that's the big if in this whole equation, for $36.2 million, it's essentially what Nick Chubb signed for last year in his extension. Chubb signed a 3-year extension for $36.6 million. There's no guaranteed money in this deal, unlike Chubb. When you sign an extension, they get $20 million of guarantees. But if McCaffrey is McCaffrey, he's 26, then you got him at a reasonable rate. Now, the Panthers, in hindsight, had they known things were going to go the way they were, and you don't have a crystal ball, you don't do the extension. They did the extension with 2 years left. So I wouldn't do that for running back, generally. I'm not big on extending running backs generally. I'd probably let a running back play out his rookie contract and franchise him, which makes Saquon Barkley an interesting case because great rookie year, injury plague, subpar years 2, 3, and 4, fifth year on the fifth year option, playing great. I'd franchise him twice, let him walk out the door. But Carolina did the deal at the earliest possible instance, kind of like Dallas did when Ezekiel Elliott forced their hand after 3 years. And we saw the Rams did a deal with Todd Gurley after 3 years, and it didn't work out. He went south, and then he got released before he played any of the new years. Now, with McCaffrey, he's making basically $27.17 million more than if they'd done nothing, and all they got out of him in terms of the new years is the 6 games before they traded him. So, didn't work out to be a good deal for Carolina. Then the compound matters, they restructured the thing twice. They restructured it in April 2021. They restructured his contract. They converted $7,047,500 in the signing bonus, leaving with a minimum salary of $990 for cap room. And then this year, they did another restructure as well. They converted $7.365 million, his $8.4 million base salary, into signing bonus. Now, because you're converting money into signing bonus that's prorated, that impacts you on the cap if something goes wrong and you trade somebody, and that's what's happening with Carolina. Because of the two restructures, first only saving $690,000 on the cap this year for not having to pay McCaffrey the rest of the year. Now, that leaves them with, for next year, $18,352,250 of dead money. That's going to be a savings of $1,198,500 over what was supposed to be his 2023 cap number, because McCaffrey was on the books for $19,950,750 for 2023. Then in 2024 and 2025, his cap numbers are going to get wiped off the books, so there's no cap charges for McCaffrey after 2023. So you've got the dead money of a little over $18.35 million for next year, and then his $19,950,750 cap hit in 2024 is gone. Then the $15,450,750 cap hit in 2025 is gone as well. I've seen some people who have said that the total cap hits get transferred over to the Niners. That's not true. Bonus proration, which includes signing bonus and any restructure proration, stays with the signing team. So that's Carolina responsibility. Now, because they've made the Robbie Anderson trade, Carolina now has got a good head start on dead money in 2023. With Anderson, the dead money when they traded him for 2023 is $9,719,168. So between McCaffrey and Anderson, they've got a league-leading almost $28.1 million in dead money for 2021. Now, Carolina wasn't in great shape cap-wise to begin with before the trades for 2023. We got 40 players under contract. They have the 7th most cap commitments, and I'm using NFLPA data for this from their website. I made the manual calculation for the McCaffrey trade that they've got $232,541,002 in 2023 cap commitments. The cap huge growth is probably going to be in 2024 and 2023. I know teams are using anywhere between 222.5 and 230 for projections. We'll say it's 225. They're going to be over. When you top 51 players count in the offseason, you got your top 51, and you're looking at being in the $242 million range of cap commitments for the Panthers next year. But they'll have a cost-contained, cheap quarterback. Now, for the Niners, in 2023, they've got 34 players under contract right now, including McCaffrey. That's $213.76 million of cap commitments. When you extrapolate it out for the top 51, that's going to put them in the neighborhood of 230. So they're going to be restructuring contracts. They've got some pretty heavy cap hits, and one thing they're probably going to have to do with McCaffrey is $12 million cap hit for a running back, probably not sustainable. He's got 3 years left. I wouldn't be surprised if they rework the deal more than just a simple restructure. Since this is more than just a one-year rental, he's going to want some security or guarantees. This is a team that maybe in the restructure they try to get substantial per-game roster bonuses in the deal. Every veteran player on this team, when they sign an extension, has per-game roster bonuses. If I'm San Francisco, I'm like, you want some security? Then we got to take some of your base salary and convert it into per-game roster bonuses. I'd want $1 million per-game roster bonuses just because of his durability concerns in 20 and 21. So now we got the odd 17th game. So I want, say, $60,000 per game would be $1.02 million in per-game roster bonuses per year. You stay healthy, you get it. If not, we save cash and get some cap relief that way. Now, they're going to do some other things. The Niners, they're going to have to in 2023. They got Trent Williams for cap number $27,359,777. He's under contract through 2026. He's the best left tackle in the game. That's the fourth highest offensive lineman cap number. Eric Armstead has a 14th highest defensive cap number next year at $24.346 million. He's under contract through 2024. They've already restructured him. Well, they've added 2 voiding dummy years, so they got the proration already in the books through 2026. Fred Warner, in terms of off-ball linebackers, 5th highest cap number at $18.525 million. He's under contract through 2026. George Kittle has the biggest cap number for a tight end in 2023. He's under contract through 2025. They got a voiding dummy year for 2026. His cap number is $18,092,575,000. Good thing is Trey Lance is cheap for a quarterback. Cap number of $9,301,434. So, given everything else going on, you kind of need a cheap quarterback cap number. The whole Jimmy Garoppolo shoulder injury threw a monkey wrench in everything. They thought they were going to get him off the books in March. Maybe they would have extended Nick Bosa, who also that's going to be the big thing in the offseason, Nick Bosa. 5th-year option, $17.58 million for Nick Bosa. Bosa's going to get an extension next offseason. They typically don't do extensions after 3 years for first-round picks. So he didn't get one. I thought he might. Maybe if Garoppolo had been gone, he would have been the next guy besides Debo to get a deal. But 5th-year options, that says $17.859 million. He's going to be, as long as he stays healthy, he's going to be right up there among the sack leaders in the NFL. He's going to be a $30 million per year player. And I don't know if it's going to be more than Aaron Donald, who right now is highest paid non-quarterback. And I mean a legit $30 million per year. I don't mean the cosmetic $30 million per year, which is really $25 million per year that Tyreek Hill signed. A true 30. Aaron Donald at $31 million, $31.167 million, highest paid non-quarterback. With that big option year salary, you can, depending upon if you do it early, the cap room savings could be put to use better, but you can chop that base salary down pretty low. Could get, depending on how they structure it. I know they've used signing and option bonuses before. If they wanted to, they could pick up at least $10 million in cap room if they wanted to do that. I don't know how they're going to structure his extension, but he's going to get an extension. But the Niners, it's a good thing they have all these weapons, because that's going to help Trey Lance in the future. That he's still going to be someone that's suffering through growing pains because he hasn't played football a lot since high school. Hasn't played much in the NFL. Broke his ankle. I think it's the second game this year, out for the year. Barely played last year, going into year 3. Inexperienced quarterback, but with that type of skill position talent in that defense, Niners window of opportunity is going to be more than this year. Should be the next couple of years. McCaffrey's contract runs out through 2025. So that's going to be it for this week. Probably everything you wanted to know and more about the McCaffrey trade. Don't forget, you can follow me on Twitter at Corey Joel. That's CORRYJOEL. And also read my regular CBSSports.com column, Agents Taking NFL Salary Cap and Contract Matters. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you back here next time. Goodbye.